mean, this is big country here.
24 days after Paige Birgfield vanishes without a trace,
Look along the bank, look in the middle, look at a snag.
her father, Frank, moves his search to this vast canvas, the winding Colorado River.
I don't know. I don't know when you give up. I don't know. When do you say she's gone? I don't know.
Weeks turn into months as investigators and volunteer searchers paddle through murky waters and trudge through desert scrub brush. But Connie Fluke says there is no sign of Paige.
How daunting was this search?
This was one of the hardest searches that I personally have been on.
Like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
It was, but we found a lot of needles.
But perhaps the biggest clue came from the unlikeliest of sources. A motorist with a flat tire pulls along the side of this road to fix it and then notices something strange. Paige's checkbook. Investigators soon find Paige's personal checks and business cards, other personal items dropped all along this road. How important was that trail of breadcrumbs left along Highway 50 for your search?
I think it was very important for the case, and I think it was very important for the family too, just to know, yes, she was brought to that area.
But who abducted Paige Birgfield? When a divorced mother goes missing, it's only a matter of time before the police zero in on the ex. In Paige's case, she had two, starting with Ron Beigler. Journalist Carol McKinley says the two were teenage sweethearts.
Paige did have big dreams out of high school. She went to Florida to go to school, wanted to be a midwife, but Ron Beigler followed her out there. Her grades start failing and she drops out.
Ron and Paige moved back to Colorado. They have a huge wedding set on a peak overlooking the Denver skyline. But their youthful rush to the altar ends as quickly as it starts.
Early on, Paige made it very clear to Ron she wanted children. She adored children, but Ron wanted no part of that. It turned out to be a deal breaker. Her friends say she got a divorce after just 2 years.
In the wake of that divorce, she meets Rob Dixon, an emergency medical technician who friends say didn't really need to work because he came from a wealthy family.
Her in-laws, the Dixons, were loaded. They made a fortune getting in on early technology with cell phones.
That family fortune lined their son Rob's pockets for years.
He loved spending his daddy's money. He had 6 sports cars.
In a town full of pickup trucks, Rob Dixon is driving a bright yellow Ferrari.
That definitely got everyone's attention. She was being showered with gifts. There were bracelets, a $12,000 necklace.
Rob pops the question with an $85,000 engagement ring. The newlyweds start a family right away. First, there's daughter Jess, followed by 2 adorable boys, Taft and Trigger.
6.5, and my big sister is 8.5, and my baby brother is 3.5.
They appear to be the perfect family. They've got these beautiful children, expensive home. They're living a champagne life in really what's a 6-pack town. Everything's going well, but then the bottom falls out.
Paige's dad says Dixon makes a series of bad investments, and those bad investments lead to some bad blood.
I think as Rob's wealth kind of toppled, I think he became under more and more pressure, and it bled out into the relationship.
Then, one night in 2004, this.
Where's your emergency? My husband and I were in a fight, and he was supposed to watch my children while I went to work, and he said that I would come home and find them all murdered.
No charges were filed against Dixon that year, but 12 months later, he is charged with assault, slapping and punching Paige. Later that year, the couple divorce.
She had some scary times, but she got out of them.
Paige's friends Barbara Campbell, Rena Stockmeyer, and Andrea Land spoke to 2020's John Quinones in 2007.
Lately, she was very concerned about him being around the kids. She had a lot of worry that it wasn't a healthy situation.
Then, in March of 2007, Paige writes this bone-chilling blog. My children would ask me if Dad was going to kill me. I can't imagine what life would be like for them after he killed me.
The first person you thought might have done this?
Rob was the first person that came to mind.
My immediate thought, honestly, was Rob Dixon.
To investigators, that all sounds like Homicide 101, a roadmap leading right to Rob Dixon. Except Dixon has an airtight alibi the night Paige disappears. His cell phone records indicate he's 2,000 miles away at his new home in Philadelphia the night Paige goes missing.
It quickly scratches Dixon off the list. He's effectively alibied because he's on the East Coast. But then investigators turn their eyes on Paige's first ex-husband, who lives 4 hours away in Aurora, Colorado.
And here's why. It turns out that Paige had rekindled her romance with her first love, Ron Beigler, and was with him just hours before she vanishes, having a picnic at this park in Eagle, Colorado.
It wasn't anything that out of ordinary or special. I mean, we just decided to meet that day. The Eagle is halfway point for both of us, so we left at the same time and arrived back in our towns at approximately the same time, and she called me to make sure I made it back into Denver, and that's the last I ever heard of her.
I need to talk about the missing person emergency.
2 days later, Beigler calls 911 to report his ex-wife missing.
Definitely missing because she would never leave her children.
Her first husband, Ron, she was with him that day. She leaves him. He's the last person to see her. But he was ruled out pretty quickly.
Pretty effectively alibied by cell phone evidence, etc.
Former District Attorney Pete Hotzinger says, like Dixon, Beigler has an alibi too. Cell phone records place Beigler 4 hours away in Denver the night Paige disappears, making it impossible for him to be in Grand Junction. So if it wasn't either of Paige's exes, who might have had it in for Paige?
A major complication in the case was the fact that there's such a large number of alternative suspects who have to be eliminated by virtue of what she did for a living.
When we come back, the secret life of the soccer mom exposed.
Was it just massages? Was it something more?
The babysitter's revelation about why Paige Birgfield may have been in harm's way with dozens of men.
It was after hours, and as she was getting ready to leave, she sees this truck pull up. She's wanted out of there. She was extremely scared.